Dungeons and Dragons makes you a better person. If you let it, it can make you more open, more genuine, more imaginative, more patient, and more accepting of yourself and others. Let me tell you how it happened for me. I'm a goofy guy. I'm also kind of a shy guy. So the first time I ever played D&D, what kind of character did I roll up? I'll tell you. He was guarded, apathetic, distant, someone whose whole personality centered around keeping people out. Meet Lumidrauth Airmore. Lumi for short. Pleased to meet you. Lumi is a big, sarcastic stinker. He's too cool to care about you. He's too cool to care about your problems, and definitely too cool for feelings. He's the lone wolf type that clowns at every meaningful moment and makes you feel dumb for having emotions. Yep, that's what I came up with. That character was a defense mechanism. See, closeness always kind of intimidated me. Vulnerability always scared me. Emotional intimacy? No thanks. Those are all prime opportunities for rejection. And I don't want to face rejection. Facing rejection will probably kill me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. So playing a loner, that felt comfortable. I could use his cold shoulder, sass, and brooding to deflect any uncomfortable vulnerability trying to come my way. I could finally live out my wildest fantasies of being a self-reliant, self-centered, kind of moderately funny guy with magical powers. But it wasn't long before I realized the lone wolf flavor of fun goes stale fast. It's not fun being around a person like that in real life. It's annoying. So why would it be any different in D&D? Damn. I guess I have to start caring. Fast forward a couple years, we're kicking off another campaign, and this time I thought to myself, I'll do it right. No more lone wolf, no more too cool to care. This character will be different. Meet Scoralis. He's a skeletal mummy with pastel purple bones and an obsession with rubber duckies. He talks like this, and he approaches life with crippling naivete and blind optimism. With Scoralis, I went full silly. Hi, wanna rub a duck? This was another defense mechanism. Instead of the shield of aloofness and lone wolfery, this time I used silliness and mad goofs to deflect any trace of intimacy or connection trying to slide its way into my emotional DMs. But hey, at least Scoralis wasn't a cringe-pilled edgy clown lord, right? Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with playing an emotionally distant Lone Ranger character or a silly goobercore skeleton with a rubber ducky obsession. But for me, it was a way to keep people at arm's length. I started to realize the fun's gonna expire on this character too. Something has to change. He's too shallow. I mean, he only has one mode. Silly! Alright, now I gotta find a way to duct tape some emotional depth to Scoralis or he's not gonna last. And that means tapping into parts of me that are usually buried beneath layers of fear. Here we go. I started with just little moments of openness. Whenever the situation was right, I dipped my emotional toe into the shallow end of the vulnerability pool. Little by little, I would let more of my own buried traits, the ones I was insecure about, float to the surface through Scoralis. I let him show vulnerability. I was still afraid of rejection, but the stakes were much lower. If people rejected my attempts to open up, they weren't rejecting me, they were rejecting my character. But I wasn't rejected. People seemed to really like Scoralis, connect with him even. My openness was actually fostering more openness around the table. That was a good feeling. Out of all the years of D&D I've played since then, I look back at Scoralis really fondly. He feels kind of like a comfy hoodie. I think that's because in playing him, I found a safer way to explore feelings I was really insecure about, because the stakes were lower. That right there is one of the most powerful things I think D&D or any other role-playing game has to offer. See, when you play, you get a chance to explore your own internal shit in an environment where things just aren't such a big deal. We all have dark thoughts sometimes. We want to steal things. Some of us want to feel powerful and make someone else feel small. We want to beat someone up because of how they looked at us. We want to get stupid rich and flaunt it. Sometimes we want to make ourselves feel good regardless of who gets hurt. A lot of us tend to stuff those feelings. We ignore them. We try to keep them locked tight, keep them hidden. But what if there's something valuable in exploring our dark side? Carl Jung thought so. He called it the shadow. It's the parts of ourselves we're afraid of or despise. The dark desires deep within us that we feel ashamed of. That shame makes us want to keep the shadow hidden. We don't like thinking about it. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to pretend it's not there. But the dark instincts stay with you. Intrusive thoughts continue to intrude. Keeping them hidden doesn't make them go away. Your shadow wants to be seen and heard, just like every other part of you. And the longer it's ignored, the harder it fights to come to the surface. Young was convinced that everyone must relentlessly know how much good he can do and what crimes he's capable of. In D&D, you can try on those bad behaviors you've got locked away. And since it's all imaginary, you stay pretty insulated from the repercussions. Sure, there are some in-game consequences. Maybe a bad guy gets fed up with your arrogance and puts you in your place. Not as embarrassing as if you got your actual ass handed to you. Maybe your character even gets killed for something they did. I mean, that sucks, but you can always roll up a new one. Real life, though, has real consequences, and it doesn't let us get away with much. That's why the game can be such a great place to explore your dark side and let it be seen. I remember a specific moment from a game I was in. We were fighting some local guards, making our way through some narrow, twisting streets in a small village. We'd been sent there by an evil lich who made it clear our lives were on the line if we didn't obey her. Basically, we had to be bad guys. There were guards attacking us, so we had to eliminate them. But the helpless villagers along the way, we went full villain mode. We took out every last one of them. And you know what? It felt kind of good. I didn't expect that. I didn't know that was in me. I've never felt violent tendencies before. I've never wanted to kill someone just because I could. Because of my time in the game, now I know I'm capable of violence, hatred. I'm capable of real evil. I can't hide behind the comfort of thinking I could never do something like that because I know I could. I am capable. And I think if you took an honest look at the darkness in you, I think you know you're capable too. The game creates a space for us to explore our own darkness without harming others. The shadow gets seen. We can expose our dark impulses before they get a chance to boil over into our real lives. Now, when you do start to roleplay out your inner darkness, you will get on some nerves. But guess what, baby? That's just another opportunity for growth. Your character, whether good or bad, will bother a fellow party member at some point in the campaign. There will be conflict. I grew up avoiding conflict. I think a lot of us did. So when I entered my adult years, I had no idea how to approach it. Anytime I get annoyed, upset, or bothered, I wouldn't say anything. I'd just sit with it, shoving down the feelings and try to move on. Then along comes D&D. Suddenly, I'm living out my wildest fantasy of being moderately confident. Maybe I can't say something, but Scoralis can. Scoralis is that kind of guy. Scoralis is dripping with confidence. See, the game lets you tiptoe into conflict without the weight of whatever real-life aftermath that could come from it. Chances are, whatever problem you're dealing with is centered around something within an imaginary world anyway. The tension doesn't have to be so heavy because the problem is contained within the game. We're just a couple of characters hashing things out, role-playing. It might even be kind of fun. Did you know the way I think is different than the way you think? And the way you approach things is different from your friends. Isn't that annoying, by the way? Like, people should just think like me, damn it. Reality is, people think differently, and you can't change that. D&D makes you face that reality. I played this game where another player constantly got on my nerves. Everyone else in the party was usually on the same page. Oh, there's a monster terrorizing the city? Well, let's go ahead and take care of that. Oh, this demigod is warning us to be cautious of some dark force, trying to contaminate our minds. Good looking out. We'll be sure not to flirt with that. Someone in the party stole some stuff? Not great, but let's go ahead and hide the evidence together. We were all in sync, except for this one player. Guess what he did? He questioned why we were risking our lives to save this city. He leaned into the evil mind stuff, and he confessed to the shopkeep that we stole from him. Remember what I was saying earlier about conflict? Yeah, we had conflict. At some point, our campaign forced me to accept that he's playing his character differently than I would. And honestly, it made the game so much more interesting. We weren't just going through the motions anymore. Get the quest, do the quest, get the reward, go to the next quest. Now we had to tackle the challenge of confronting a complex social dilemma within our own party. But it brought such a richness to the table because it cultivated deeper human interaction between us. And because it all happened within the confines of the game, we weren't as restricted by the normal social pressures of politeness and tact. We just let shit fly. When he tattled to that shopkeep, that was a shit show. But hey, when he made choices I would never make, it taught me how to have more patience. It was either that or quit, and I was having too much fun to quit. That is called frustration tolerance. It's your ability to resist becoming frustrated when faced with difficult tasks or unpleasant feelings. And the game will bring its fair share of unpleasant feelings. Sometimes the dice rolls alone can make you rage. Some nights the dice are on your side, and some nights they hate you in particular. If you don't learn to roll with the punches, you'll just have a bad time. D&D helps you develop frustration tolerance. Let me ask you a question. When you hear the word imagination, what comes to mind? Maybe a banner on the wall of an elementary school classroom, or maybe that SpongeBob GIF. Yes, I say GIF, it's the correct way. Get over it. I think for a lot of us, the word kind of brings up this cheesy, kind of childish, trite imagery from our childhood. Listen to this. What is now proved was once only imagined. That is a quote from one of the greatest minds of our generation, Beyonce. Just kidding. It was an 18th century guy named William Blake. He was a writer, a poet, a printmaker. I have no idea what an 18th century printmaker even is, and I'm not looking it up. Imaginative people tend to show higher intelligence. They learn more from their mistakes. They connect and communicate more deeply. I mean, the list goes on. This is all backed by actual research. Look, adulthood can feel like such a desert with no imagination for miles. You're kind of looked at strangely if, as an adult, you highly value imagination. But you don't have to live that way. You can feed your imagination through play. Imagination is a very powerful thing. It helps us process reality. We can even use it to try on other realities for a few moments, experience someone else's perspective. Play can be characterized as de-risked accelerated learning. D&D is kind of like life on tutorial mode. I mean, but fun. Like, it's more fun than a tutorial. D&D is fun. Look, just let yourself play. You need it. Even if it's not D&D, please find some way to play in your life. It will relieve some stress, yeah, but it goes deeper than that. You need a training ground for thinking on your feet, embracing inspiration, and imagining different futures. The essentials for when you sail out into uncharted waters. Dungeons & Dragons offers a structured way to flex that imagination muscle again. A muscle I think a lot of us haven't really flexed since childhood. It's a form of play for adults that fosters imagination. There are so many ways that D&D can make you a better person, and the research is just starting to be done. But here's some bonus round stuff. It is a fantastic outlet for all kinds of creativity. Writing, acting, character illustration, landscape illustration, map making, painting, miniature painting, 3D modeling, game design, crafting, vocabulary, plot development, the list just keeps going. It also helped me get a better mental reference for units of measurement and distance, because, I don't know, I had to picture everything in my head as it was being described. I had to learn what 30 feet actually means, what that actually looks like in the real world. D&D combat forces you to develop strategical thinking. Well, good D&D combat does that. It can force creative problem solving. It encourages you to learn other people's perspectives. It cultivates teamwork. Here's something. It's a regularly scheduled way to see your friends. Why did no one tell us that would be one of the hardest parts of adulthood? Just scheduling in friendship. I've seen people process through very real emotions connected to trauma or tragedy from their real life during some heartfelt in-game moment. I've seen how the game has helped people process through depression or anxiety or social anxiety. It's no replacement for therapy. If you struggle with thoughts and feelings you don't know how to handle, you need someone to help you. But the game can be an amazing tool while you work through your shit. Honestly, I could keep going. It feels like the more I play D&D, the more I see. If you come to the table with an open mind, it will change your life. That, my friends, is how Dungeons & Dragons makes you a better person. Thanks for watching. Wow, you made it to the end of the video. You are one of the elite. So beautiful and smart and very, very tall. If you like this sort of thing, why not subscribe? See you in the next one.